everybody, it's been a while since I've done a straight up anime review, and honestly, I kind of need a break from all the other little projects I've got going on right now, so I figure what better thing to do to take a few minutes to talk about a series called Run with the Wind. I just finished this show like 15 minutes ago, and I've been wanting to talk about it for a while. So let's just get right into it. For those of you who don't know, Run with the Wind is a sports anime that's been airing since like last fall. It's made by the same people who did the series Haikyuu, which is about volleyball. I admittedly have never seen Haikyuu, but everyone I know who's watched it is obsessed with it and says it's one of their favorites. And a lot of people say that this anime is basically just Haikyuu but with running. So a part of me really wants to check out Haikyuu now, because this series is actually really fucking good. And a lot of people have been praising it, and it's done fairly well popularity-wise, considering the type of anime it is, but unfortunately it definitely has kind of gone under a lot of people's radars. So hopefully let's do my attempt to get this series a little bit more into people's because I think a lot of people could really get into this series. So what's it about? Well, it's basically about this team of college age, that's right, not high schoolers, college kids, who basically get suckered into being part of a running team to do a very long marathon in Japan. And let me tell you something right now. If you're like me and you don't really think running is something you could base a whole show on and really isn't that interesting to watch, oh boy, let me just get right into this. This anime will make you care about running. This anime will make you feel exhausted when you're sitting on your bed with a bag of M&Ms watching it, because that's how I've been. This is a very well-created, well-animated, well-detailed show. If we're just going to get into the running animation, they do a very good job of making you believe what's really happening. No one in this ever really is that much faster than something you could see actually happening. No one's technique is like really over the top quicker. It looks like they did a lot of work in modeling it after how people really won. There's a great sense of realism to this show, and I think it's a big key to its success. The running animation is always very grueling to watch. It never feels like you're really being sped up or anything like that. It feels kind of like what marathon running is all about. Now, obviously, if you kind of can assume what I look like, I'm a big fat guy. I don't know much about running. But from what I do know about it, when you're plotting out a marathon, a lot of it is based around how you sort of pace yourself, how you keep your time up, all these things. And this show goes into a lot of detail with it. It feels a lot like something like Food Wars, where when you watch it, the way they explain the rules and the way they show you how it all gets implemented into everything really is a lot of the fun. Like when they tell you about running, you really do understand it, and because the animation is so good, you really feel like you're seeing it on screen as they explain it to you. It also helps that the show's general visual style is very realistic. A lot of the locations you see, especially during the big marathon arc, look like they could be ripped straight from the real world. A lot of the settings are just standard things like the dorm everyone stays at, the local shopping district, a local park, a local city, but they actually do a lot to add a lot of personality, especially when you go through the big dorm house they're all living in. Every time you see something in there, it's got this cluttered mess look, but kind of in a fun way. There's a lot of little details, a lot of little ways they show you what everyone likes to do. And while we're on the subject, the characters in this show are very likable. It's a team of 10, so one would assume it could be pretty hard to get everyone across, even with 23 episodes, but fortunately the show does a very good job. Everyone has a pretty simplistic personality, but they sort of feel like people who could really exist. And I feel like it helps that as a 25-year-old guy trying to really make his way in the world, I really could relate to a lot of these guys. Not all their dialogue is just the generic normal anime crap of everything's about running or finding a girl or some sort of goofy melodrama. A lot of it's very real stuff like wanting to find a job, wanting to be able to afford rent, wanting to kick habits like smoking, stuff like that. Very real things that happen to a lot of real people. And when they do get their moments, they are very likable. So it's a fun cast. I also like their designs too. It's not just the generic pretty boys you see a lot, although some of them you could sort of tell they acknowledged some of them would probably be popular with fangirls, so some of them are a bit more shirtless than others. But no, their designs really do a good job of getting across their personalities. They're very distinctive, and even though I can't really say I remember everyone's names, whenever someone showed up on screen, it was easy for me to remember what they were about. So that's really where it excels there. As far as the story goes, you can make the argument it is the typical sports anime. It hits a lot of the standard points. A lot of the characters who do have drama relating to the running do really fit into the standard thing, but it's still very well done. I'm always a big believer that you can have standard typical tropes, but if the characters who they're going through are likable enough, it's worth it, and that happens here. Standout character has to be Haji, who just really is just a fun character, who just leads the team, and you really do learn a lot about him and his passion. Kakeru, the main protagonist, is also pretty good, although I found him to be a bit standard for the sort of archetype he is. But all around, I found everyone to be fun. I thought the story was good, and the series was just all around a ton of fun. The only other thing I really want to point out, and this was probably the thing I've wanted to talk about the most, I fucking love this show's soundtrack. It's got this very just sort of fun atmosphere to it. Every track is distinctive. Every track is memorable. I actually found myself humming a bunch of them after episodes. They really do a good job of setting the mood and the tone, which is good music's job, but it also does a good job of getting you emotional when the emotions are ready to happen. This is not a super serious anime, and it never reaches the point where it's going to make you cry, but I think all the distinct elements about it really came together to make a really fun, really entertaining, really relatable series. And all around, I think it is something you should check out. Even if you're not a sports anime person, it draws you in just right and knows just what to show and just what to tell you. And for that reason, I am giving the show a, yeah, go watch it out of 10. But tell me what you thought about Run with the Wind Below. Do you check out sports anime more often? And if so, what are your favorites? And if you haven't checked it out, tell me if this is something you might find interesting. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and tell me if you like this, me just sort of doing my thoughts after just something sort of ends, because when you have 12 to 24 weeks to think about it, it's pretty easy to have your thoughts together. Because also this week, Promised Neverland ends, and trust me, I have a few things to say about that show.